Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day, it will brighten all the way. If you keep on the sunny side of life.
Hard to keep a guitar in tune out here when the weather changes. Hi, this is Joe Martin. I'm pastor at First Baptist Church in Toledo. This is our midweek message. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, and I want to thank you. I know a lot of you have been in my midweek service. There won't be one this week, so I wanted to make sure I got this to you. A couple things came up I couldn't do much about. But I want to tell you that I want to talk to you about something related to what we'll talk about on the weekend, which is about how we handle when things get really, really anxious around us. You know, when I'm anxious, it doesn't bring out my best side. I don't know about you, but not too many of us are like anxiously loving or joyful, or we're not anxiously peaceful. When I get bothered, or generally when people get bothered, our minds get full of worrisome thoughts. We start to kind of ruminate about things, and they call it hypervigilance. People will get to that point. That's one of the characteristics of people with some underlying issues. And I think maybe we've all got them a little bit. If you're like me, when you get in that condition, you end up distracted. You end up not thinking about God's presence, not thinking about God's peace. You end up being just kind of all over the place, just blown to and fro. And when this happens, it's easy to go into kind of a frantic, I've got to get things done mode. I've got to get focused on this. I've got to come up with my list. It's really easy to do. And all these things lead to traps. The traps of trying to control and manipulate situations and too often people. And these tendencies to control and manipulate, they begin to take on a life of their own. Most people, situations don't respond to our control, since we're not God, very well. And people don't like to be manipulated. They don't like to be pressured around. This is not a new problem. In fact, this Sunday we're going to be talking out of Luke chapter 10. When we end up this kind of bothered, anxious, manipulative tendency, we kind of follow a character in the Bible called Martha. We follow her lead. Now, she was a good lady. She loved Jesus, very good friends with him. But we all have our moments. In Luke 10:40, it says Martha was distracted with all her preparations. Sounds like us. And she came up to him and said, Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to do all the serving alone? Then tell her to help me. But the Lord answered and said to her, Martha, Martha, you are worried and bothered about so many things, but only one thing is necessary. For Mary has chosen the good part, which shall not be taken away from her. Now, we'll talk more about that on the weekend, but how do you keep out of this? How do you keep out of the pattern of anxious and anxiety-producing thinking? Later on, the Apostle Paul, he said this in Colossians. He's writing to a little church, kind of like ours probably, in a first century way. Therefore, if you have been raised with Christ, this is in Colossians 3:1, therefore, if you've been raised with Christ, keep seeking the things above. Keep on seeking the things above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God. Set your mind on the things above, not on the things that are of earth. Set your mind. For you have died, and your life is hidden with God in Christ. When Christ, who is our life, is revealed, then you also will be revealed with him in glory. Therefore, consider the members of your earthly body as dead to immorality and impurity and passion, evil desire and greed, which amounts to idolatry. So much of the temptation and the frustration and the compromises that end up in our life are boiling out of this loss of focus, this loss of this anxiety that we're trying to deal with. I mean, think about what fuels anxiety, what fuels immorality, impurity, passion, evil desire, and greed. A lot of times it comes out of this kind of compulsive, this ruminating, and you're agitated, you're frustrated. And that's not the life we're supposed to live. It's really the opposite. It's the life we died out to. Now we don't live that way. We've died out to that life, but so often we allow the world that we're living in and the situation and the noise and the thinking that's going through our head, our anxious thoughts, to just swamp us. A few years ago, I was on a mountain climbing trip, and it was a beautiful trip. It was a great climb. And we climbed through some pretty, difficult terrain. We got back down and I broke my leg. Can you believe that? And how did that happen? I broke my leg because I walked right off a perfectly good trail. You know why? Because I was distracted. I was trying to do two things at once. I wasn't paying attention to the trail. I wasn't focused. And I stepped off the trail and snapped my leg. The key to not falling down, whether it's on a trail when you're mountain climbing or backpacking, or whether you're trying to follow the path of Jesus, to walk by the Spirit, the key to not falling down is paying attention. And that's why the Apostle Paul writes, therefore, if you have been raised up with Christ, you've been changed by him. Don't get distracted. Keep seeking the things above where Christ is seated at the right hand of God. And then he says, set your mind. Set your mind on the things above, not on the things of earth. Set your mind. For you have died and your life is hidden with Christ in God. The thing that really matters is already taken care of in him. So I really want you to consider that. As you travel this path, make paying attention to your steps, your goal, that you're walking with him, not in front of him, not behind him, but with him. And this week, take time to stop many times in your day and set your mind. Reset it. The idea of setting it is kind of like you're setting it up. You're reminding yourself. This Sunday, I'm going to teach more on this. And I pray that you're going to come and you'll learn more. And I pray that you'll make a point to, as you've taken time to set your mind, to invite the person that God brings to mind. Sometimes God just brings a name to your mind, or I wonder what they're doing, and you can get a hold of them. Okay. In light of that, I will look to the hills. I will look to the hills, where my strength comes from. I will look to the hills. I will look to the hills, where my strength comes from the Lord is where my strength comes from. Keep looking, paying attention, and I'll talk to you on Sunday.